Hello, everyone, and welcome to Inner Secrets Revealed, Kabbalah class with Dr. Gil Tivon. As always, I am your host with Metaphysical Sciences TV, Mike Ray. We have yet another incredible class ahead of us today. Of course, I say that every week, but this week we are going even further into depth on the Tree of Life and the different paths or meridians between the Sefirah, which we have already gone over in previous classes. So if you haven't seen any of these episodes before, please go over to Metaphysical Sciences TV YouTube channel, and you will find another 20 episodes in this series. We have gone very far and delved deep into the different Sefirah, or the different little prisms on the Tree of Life through which God emanates his light through. And we have explained all the symbolism within this. We've explained a lot of what these things are and how they apply to our lives. And we have explained them both in the microcosm, how they apply to us, and the macrocosm, how they apply to the universe in general. Tonight, we will be focusing on the secrets of the sacred letter Vav in the Hebrew alphabet and the path that it is associated with. Also, we will be going over the, we will be going over the power of consideration, calmness of mind, and decision making rather than anger. And of course, we will be going over the associated path on the Sefirah of the Tree of Life. So, without further ado, we will just start jumping right in. We will hand it over to the man of the hour. Let's give him the power. Dr. Gil Tivon, everybody. Dr. Gil Tivon.
Hello to you all, everyone, to all my friends, and Mike especially. And we would like to definitely jump right into the Tree of Life. But I will give an short introduction for those that are visiting us the first time and joining us, as well as those that are already on board and just in transit right now between the flight of last week and this week. So, looking at the Tree of Life, the Tree of Life really picturesquely is looking like this great tree of the movie Avatar, which is endless and full of life, and that's the way it really should be. It's the 3D, from our perspective, tree, which is very, very much alive, and it's alive in each and every one of us. And it depicts the real picture of life as it is seen in the higher worlds and in every hierarchy, whether it's in the human body, whether it's in the company, whether it's in any kind of team, a soccer team, a football team, or where it can be in any kind of animal or in the planets and galaxies as well. And we have over 5,000 years of real tradition and experience of the fact that it does work, and it does, especially when we match it up to date with the latest quantum physics and theory of strings, and nothing else that we know today matches that at all. So therefore, we are very, very privileged to be able to open to you this incredible knowledge, which is very ancient, very secretive, and yet it is revealed. Kabbalah class is revealed. So what we're going to look at the Tree of Life, and we're zooming in, especially tonight, towards the crown Sefirah, or the crown chakra. And I discussed in length the difference between Sefirahs and chakras. Sefirah is an emanation, or from the word sapphire, or a prism, which gives us an inkling, a deeper inkling into the higher self. So the Sefirah of Crown, Kether, is right hovering above our head, which means it touches on the divine. When we are looking at our higher self, to which we connect, to our higher intuition, this is the first place we are looking at. It's not within the human body, just hovering right above the human body, where we get incredible guidance from above, where it is really from the real divine, right, the Ein Sof up there, or from our archangels, or from our higher self that is hovering over the body. Now, understand something very interesting. I trust that most of you, even if you're at home, wear shoes, whether it's shoes that you're using during the day or just home shoes. And when you walk with your shoes, you don't feel the weight on your legs. Normally, usually, a healthy person does not feel the weight on the legs, even though we carry some kind of a big weight, 150, 200 and more plus pounds, whether it's a woman or a man. So what am I referring to? What am I hinting to? The body, your physical body, carries your entire incredible eternal soul within you. Now that soul is bigger than life. That soul is eternal. That soul can see further and further than anything physical can limit us. And that soul was placed into the body in order for us to be this incredible hybrid. Hybrid is the right word, not Tesla, but hybrid between a physical body and a spiritual, completely spiritual spirit and soul was placed within our body. That incredible soul comes in like an upside down shaped pyramid or cone into us through the crown. So when we are born, we just have this fontanelle right up there. Still, the bones in the skeleton and the brain of a baby are not well formulated because the soul has not come yet completely, just a bit. After about 3 months that the baby is born, a little bit more comes in and then it's sealed shut. But the process of evolution, of personal mysticism, of growth carries on all our life. As long as the candle is burning, the candle of the soul, we have permission to evolve, to grow, to develop ourselves as well as influence others and shine through that crown chakra, receiving more and more parts of and compositions and a symphony orchestra of our soul as long as we engage in the positivity. What positivity am I looking at and I'm talking about? Well, one will be incredible positive communication because the greatness of a human being is our ability to communicate much more than any kind of creature that we know. The animal world, of course, communicate. The animal world is, of course, very intelligent, but not to the degree of the details that we can formulate and express feelings, beliefs, ideas, concepts, and put it across. That's why we call Kabbalistically medaber, which in the Hebrew means the speaking creation of God, which is very much like God-like, because if you see in the Bible, God saw it was good, and he spoke, and God said, let there be light, and there was light. So we have this this spark-like godliness inside us which allows us to speak, and in the Hebrew narrative this is the language that God uses. This is what the Torah, the Bible, reveals to us. It is the first language around. It was all countries, all nations spoke this language till the Tower of Babylon, which the Hebrew, Babylon means came and confused and made different languages so that we have different opinions, different ways, different mentalities, different ways of life, and hence wars, disagreements, conflicts, animosity, etc. So again, the soul comes down through the crown, and it's very, very minute and small, not because it is small, because that's what we allow ourselves. The body, the entire body through the crown is considered in Kabbalah the shoe. The shoe, in parentheses, an analogy to a shoe that holds the body, which holds up all this incredible, infinite, eternal soul that we get within us, which is eternal, which is godly, which is divine. The more we engage in positive communication, good deeds, action of the commandments, doing God's will, and I will speak about it in a second, working at our attributes, defying our evil inclination and working against resistance, the more likely we are to rise and shine and become spiritual masters in this world through our life, like some few people throughout the ages have become, and we all know their names. So, what do I mean by working against resistance? Well, working against resistance is what we're going to talk about tonight also, which means we all have inside us evil inclination. Each one has got a different part of it. Some people are very angry. Some people are very depressed. Some people are addicted to something, that or another, as we've spoken about in this platform many times. Some people love to gossip, and many other kind of evil inclination expressions that we all have that pull us right off track of what God has intended. How do I know what God has intended for me? This is one of the biggest questions each one of us should address. But the truth is as follows. I'd like you to spend some time meditating on your own. You can be with your partner, with your significant other, with your friend, outside watching the sky, at night, during the day, whenever you feel comfortable. That can be within your porch, within your house. You don't have to go out there and endanger yourself. You just watch the sky and meditate you facing God and see all this beautiful creation that God has made just for you. Chirping birds, the slow, quiet breathe, right? The wind, the mountains, the sky, the stars, the beautiful trees, the flowers. Enjoy and take in all of creation that you can see right around you. Most of us, town people, we forget to lift our eyes, we forget nature, we forget to connect to God through nature, through the stars. Not that God is the stars, but through his creations, we can feel, we can connect. Once we connect in meditation, watching nature at our own quietude and leisure, then we go up a step, a level, and right above our heads, starting here and going about a foot above, lies our higher self. Once we can lift up, just go up to the other chakra, not only to the crown, but just a step over the crown, right above, about a foot over my crown. This is where my higher self really is. This is where I get incredible inklings, intuitions, understanding over and beyond my personal, private, logical, limited life. None of the words I said are superlatives, none are synonyms. Every word is being thought of, even though I speak quite quickly, because I've been doing it for many, many years. So this is the understanding, the deep understanding of Kabbalah. Once you do, you will hear, you will speak to your higher self. You will communicate with the divine. You will be able to harness and understand what is your mission. Are you going in the right direction? Are you missing something? Are you really going over and beyond your materialistic urges, or are you being drawn into this interference of the drives, the natural materialistic drives, which draw you right down back into this world, as we all do in one way or the other? We all need to use the material. We all have relationships, one way or the other. We all have to eat. We all see the material. We all are limited by five senses. And this is the fight, the mortal fight of our lives that we are here for. So always remember, my friends, we are spiritual beings having a human experience. We are spiritual beings having a human experience. Having said that, let's zoom in on the crown, on the Kether chakra or sphere, emanation, as I've explained before, and see that it's connected with two meridians connected, right? To left and right. One is to the understanding, the other one is to wisdom. One is to Chokhmah, one is to Binah. We discussed last week the connection to wisdom, which is through the letter of Hey, the letter of procreation, the letter that allows us to walk, even physically. And we discussed also the fact that once you know those inner secrets, what we're doing now tonight is the Karate Kid. I'm just showing you the wish and wash. But once you mastered it, and stay there, Mike, for a second with that image, it's beautiful. Once you know that and you harness those secrets, you can heal. You can give therapy psychologically, emotionally, mentally, spiritually, and physically and practically to any person walking this earth, because this is universal. This knowledge is universal. This knowledge is infinite. This knowledge is the wisdom, the secret wisdom of life that any human being walking this earth immaterial of your religion or your belief can use. Immaterial or belief in a religion, you can use this to harness your life, to help other people, always, always, only in a positive way. Yes, there's black magic. Yes, there's white magic. Yes, there are secrets in Kabbalah which are not so nice, like in every study of these secret mysteries and mysticism. But I don't teach that. I don't teach that, and you will never hear it from me because it may fall into the wrong hands. So I used to teach it in the past. Some people that had neighbors they didn't like could have used it and abused it against them. So I learned very quickly not to teach it in public, to raise every memory over it from other people. So you have to be of very good values, a very good character, and prove yourself to your spiritual masters for many years to be able to be given really the deep secrets and not to abuse it against wrongdoers, etc., because we love all and we try to rectify, tikkun all, etc. Tonight we're going to zoom in on this incredible letter Vav, right? You can see the third letter there we go. And that letter appears also in the name of God, as Mike showed us just a second before. Havaya, right, is the third letter in that name. And if you look at it, it looks like a hook. When we want to hang something, clothes, or anything else, we use that, and that looks like a hook, and that's the actual literal name in the original sacred Hebrew. Vav, V-A-V, means a hook in the Hebrew, in the tabernacle, in the temple. Some 3,335 years ago, when the Israelites walking through the desert, they used those hooks, which were many, 1,750 of them, third letter, to connect the different parts, the different materials that covered the tabernacle. So the first thing we know about this letter, which is incredible, is it comes to connect different things together, not the same, but different things. For example, we look at a couple. If you think, look, and behave in the same gender as exactly as your partner, sometimes it can be very boring. If she thinks the same, feels the same, looks the same, well, then it can be very boring because you know already before she opened her mouth or his mouth what they think and what they know. We don't want this. We want the complementary part of ourselves. We want the other side of the coin. We want what we're lacking. We want together to form something which completes each other. I want to be able to innovate and reveal to my partner something she doesn't know, as she would like something that to reveal to me things I don't know about the day, about the personality, about life, about the wisdom, etc. So Vav, or V in the English, but it's got different meanings. In English, it's just a letter, V. It's a rigid name. It doesn't have to have many meanings, right? It can be used arbitrarily. Could have been a U. It just looks like that. In the Hebrew, it's got a sacred shape to it from the Bible, from original sacred Hebrew, and it means to connect opposites to form letter one. And therefore, this letter signifies especially the Sefirah, the emanation of Tiferet, which is splendor, which is beauty, which if we look at the Tree of Life, this is the most important of Sefirot, of emanations, which connects everything together. It's the heart of the matter. So there you go. If you look at Tiferet, thank you, Mike, you see the Tiferet or the splendor or beauty, right, connects all the top spheres with the bottom ones, all the right with the left, all the front with the back because it's 3D. So what am I referring to? Let's bring it down to our everyday life. You have a future which you don't know, and you have a past which sometimes you want to forget, or that draws you back into the past. Regrets, anger, resentment, frustration, worries of the past, and especially anxiety towards the future and uncertainty. The letter Vav, in a miraculous way in the Torah, in the Bible, does the following. When it says in the Bible, in the original Hebrew, the word, for example, Yomar in the Hebrew means he will say, right? And God will say. When I say Vayomar, means he will say in the past. In other words, the Vav has got this incredible power to flip the time. Here again, the Vav has got an incredible power given it by the Bible to flip the time over. If you speak about the past and use the Vav before, it flips it to the future. If you speak about the future and use the Vav before, Vayomer means he will say. Vayomer means he has said. So he's got the power to flip the time very much like a black hole will do, to flip over the time zone. What does it mean? It means that this letter is endless because it connects two opposites to the sense that it can flip time itself. Now, understand this. Before there's material, before there is space to talk about, first and foremost comes the time, because only when I have the time, Kabbalah says, then I can pour into this the space, the material. When we said the Big Bang, a second before, there was no space, there was no material, there were no atoms, there was no time. Then from that second onwards, God said, let there be light, Big Bang. And time started, and billions of a second later started space and all the materials. So time is the first thing we know about life. What does time mean? Time in the original Hebrew, says the Malbim, a great giant, spiritual giant who lived about 120 years ago, right, in the late 18th century, right, 18th century, not 19th century, says that time means this is a given budget that we were given. The biggest gift that you and I share is life. We are privileged. I'm privileged to share this time zone with you, where you can be sitting now at the East Coast and I'm towards the West Coast in Arizona, West Coast Arizona, most close to the West Coast. And even though you're different time zone, you're 3 hours ahead of me. And in Japan right now, it's 16 hours ahead of us. In Australia, New Zealand, etc., etc. In Hawaii, 3 hours behind us. Nevertheless, we can speak in the right here and now. There's a space there. There's a time which is we can share in the right here and now. So I don't know and I don't care what's the time at you now and what's my time. I know that I'm speaking to you in the here and now. There is a space there where God is involved, where He can flip over the time and bring your past to the present and future, and your future to the past. What does it mean? It means that you should stop worrying. You should stop lingering on the past, because the past is just but memories, and it's already been. The only thing you take from it is the spiritual lesson it gave you. Learn from it, move forward. Let the past go. The future, and all your worries about it. Will I get the job? Will I get the girl? Will I get my health? It's all your worries. But who says you need to worry? Psalms say, cast on God all your worries, and He will definitely, right? He will definitely be there for you and give it. If you decide to take things into your hand, God says, well, go ahead, do it, let's see. But if you involve God in the picture, He will flip time for you. There is no need for the dimension of time. That's the first incredible Kabbalistic, mystical lesson we learn tonight. The time is an illusion in our own mind. Oh yes, it really does exist out there in the materialistic world. But once we go over and above our own separate self, over and above the material, and we access this place, like I told you before, through meditation of our higher self, and get to the place where we access intuition, higher self, godliness, the divine, as scientists, top scientists speak about today, Dr. Joe Dispenza and others, right? Then we come to understand that we can access space which is above time and enjoy at last our life in the here and now and be happy with the here and now. Understand, beyond this physical world, once we pass away, there is no time. Before you came to this world, there was not time for you. Time started only when you entered this world. That was second one. And if you're 99, so it's been 99 years since the time you walked to this earth. Once you will transcend from this world, then time will stop for you. But you will carry on being eternal soul. Very interesting. Now, the letter Vav, so let's just summarize so far. We learned that the letter Vav actually joins opposites. It complements. We learned that it will join also emotions and logic. That's why it's Tiferet. That's why it's in the glory. It also joins past and future. and it flips over the time. It's got this ability, not only by its shape, by its very value, internal, intrinsic, spiritual, sacred, secretive value. Again, these are not synonyms that I'm using, each word is being thought of. So it's joining past and future, it's joining emotions and logic, and it's joining spiritual and material, and this is what life is all about. We must transform our materialistic part, our physical part, into spirituality. Imagine I've got these two cups in front of me. One is all the joie de vivre, the joy of life, passion, blood, and sweat, where I want to achieve what I do, whether it's in the gym, right? Whether it's doing my academics, whether it's doing my career, in relationship, on the beach, running, whatever it is that you do. But at the end of the day, you feel exhausted and all this, and it is full of coffee. At the end of the day, when you finish that, you're exhausted. And when you've gone through many days in life, we do see people get tired. We do see people get weaker, more vulnerable, right? But so all that physical power and the material that we have acquired slowly brings us to the point of exhaustion, and we're tired of life. At the end of life, we say goodbye. But if we're clever, we have another cup, an empty cup. And that cup is a spiritual cup. And every time that I have my cup of coffee, that I enjoy my life, that I enjoy my physical being, I pour some of that coffee, that life force, into my spiritual cup. So at the end of the day, at the end of my life, even though I have exhausted completely my physical cup and it's empty, but my spiritual cup is completely full. My spiritual cup is completely full and I can take it with me. Imagine the following beautiful story, and I think I shared it on a Monday, maybe you haven't got it there yet, and it is that a certain place hired once a year a king to be a temporary king. The only thing the king didn't know, he's coming there only for a year. After a year, they chucked him out of the space and out of the place. So every year they appointed a different king. He made lots of money. At the end of the year, they left all the money behind, and they threw him away to where he came from, penniless and homeless. One wise guy came along and he said, "Well, I want to know what happened to my predecessors." And so he researched and searched. At the end, somebody was prepared to reveal to him the truth. And once he found the truth, he said, "Well, let me be very smart and wise about it. Every time that I make investment here, let me send a check, a big fat check to my family, which is anyhow overseas." The end of the year arrived, they did throw him out, but all that money, all those assets that he acquired were waiting for him exactly where he put it, in the place where he came from overseas. You are on borrowed time in this world. Every day that passes by is a gift of life. This is life. We define life through time, but you can turn it around. You can transform your life into eternity if you engage and join the physical with the spiritual, the past with the future, the emotions with the logic, your left brain logic with the right brain, which is emotional, right? Your spirit level with your ego. Opposites that complement each other. This is the power of the letter verb, to hook in, to join opposites to become one. And it looks on the surface to be contradicting or conflicting, but you go to the depth. This is the way God has performed it and made it and created it for it to complement each other. For example, if we look at the sunset, people say it's the most romantic thing around in the world. Why is that? Why is sunrise not so? It's beautiful, but it's not that romantic. Why it's sundown? Why is it when the sun sets? There are many other beautiful things. Because at sunset we take the element of fire, which is the sun, and we see it, so to say, going down and sinking and kissing the element of water in the sea. When two opposites join, there's nothing more beautiful. A man and woman are absolutely opposites. We are not the same. We don't think the same. We don't look the same. We don't operate the same, not physically, not emotionally, not mentally. But we've got so much in common. And we've got so much we need to learn from each other. That's why God said in the Bible that it's not good for man to be on his own. Let me make a wife for him to complement him. As a Kether is to complement him. and that is the letter Vav, joining of two opposites to become one, which is in God's eyes and in our eyes most beautiful. When we go to a wedding, we are all very happy because two people from two different walks of life and traditions and cultures, sometimes religion, work together and hope, it's a great belief, to build a future together. This is the power of the letter Vav. Moving forward. Now, I can't tell you all the secrets in one short lecture, but depending on the position of the Vav within the name, for example, John, right? So the John, you don't seem to be the Vav, but in the Hebrew, the Vav can be an O. It doesn't have to be a V like a Va. It can also be an O like a John. There's a Vav over there in the Hebrew. So depending, let me use words that you will understand, like Vivian. There's a double V over there, double Vav, right? So, or Victor, whenever we find a Vav, depending on its position within the name, it will give you different kind of power. One will be the power of understanding, of consideration, of being able to think and weigh down and contemplate and meditate what is the right action to take, the right thought, the right speaking, the right thing to do and to behave in the here and now. It's not being slow, it's not being lazy, it's being thoughtful and not impulsive. Impulsiveness sometimes can be the mother of the Satan because we react impulsively, we throw things, we crash on the road, we do Russian roulette on the road, we do many, many unclever, childish things that can really hurt ourselves and others, God forbid, when we're very impulsive. So usage of the right way in this incredible letter Vav, the V, can give us the incredible power, instill with us the gift of being able to control, consider, validate before we take action. And sometimes the best action is inaction, just to keep quiet and still and ignore and not respond and react from our ego level. However, some positions of the Vav or the V, rather in the English, will bring a person to his knees and allow the shadows or the evil inclination or the impulsive ego to get the better of him. Speaking about anger. When we look at anger, it is the central most power that the Bible calls in many places worshiping idols. Because you worship yourself. I want my way, and somebody else wants their way, his way, her way, the child's way, and it doesn't suit me. And therefore I get angry. When I get angry, it means my will has not been done. But I'm forgetting that this is not my world. I'm only a guest, a temporary guest here. If I come into your house, I'm going to be very humble because I'm in your jurisdiction, under your guidance. It is your house. I should behave in your house as you tell me. As the famous statement says, when in Greece, behave like the Greeks, and when in Rome, behave like the Rome, etc. So if we remember that we are guests in this world to learn, and we are all students, independent of how old you are, then you'll be very humble to not be angry. And anger is a natural feeling we all go through. But when you abuse the anger to control others, to get your way, to dictate things, to threaten other people, to make them fear you, then it's very, very bad and very, very sad. And God does not enjoy this witness, this host, or rather, this guest in his world. So you see the number of times in your life, leave for a minute the Bible. The number of times that God was angry in the Bible are very few. The number of times that God is angry with you are very few. If you lived in this world a few good decades, look at your life and say, well, my life has been pretty good. Yes, there are harsh things. Yes, there are all kind of illnesses. Yes, there are all kind of challenges. But all in God, God is good. He's been good to me. Well, if you think about it, how many times you haven't been such a goody-goody child? How many times you have gone and transgressed his commandments? And nevertheless, he's quiet, he's patient, he's a Vav. He flips it over, he's patient, he waits for you to come around, to say sorry, forgive me, I love you, thank you, and carry on. So learn from God, emulate his ways, be patient, don't jump to conclusions, don't jump the gun, don't be so impulsive. Turn aggression into being assertive. Turn aggression into being assertive. Assertive means what needs to be done under the circumstances. Sometimes the best action is inaction. I said before. Sometimes the best action is to do what's necessary when a child falls and hurts himself. Take action. Don't stay there idly. Don't freeze. But try your very best to remove yourself away from anger. If you do fall into this trap of the ego, of anger, then control yourself, go back, retract, say sorry for your behavior, and meditate, pause and observe your behavior, and make sure that the reason for the cause, the reason for your anger is rooted out, uprooted to the point where you're not going to again fall into the trap of anger, because then you lose it. Lots of men, some ladies, when they drink, they become very angry, they lose control, right? Men, when we get into a fight, it's very simple from a word fight to come to a fist fight. And the result is jail, the result is hating somebody else, getting hurt ourselves. Try to be smart, try to be wise, try to be wise. And we do hear lately about people that we held to be great spiritual leaders that kissed a boy, that asked a boy to do all kind of things with the tongue, and you all know who I'm referring to, which is for me very upsetting and very disappointing kind of action, which is I think worldwide created a shock about the person that the whole world held to be a great spiritual leader. A great spiritual leader cannot afford to do that. Yes, we all have urges. Yes, we all have craves, but we not cannot allow for a single second to go there when we abuse somebody else. You want to do your own thing, do your own thing to yourself, and that's also not allowed because God protects your life. He loves you more than you love yourself. He gave you your body, he gave you your spirit, he gave you your soul, he gave you your feelings. But to hate other people or abuse the fact that they are vulnerable, nobody under any circumstances is allowed. Not your pet, not somebody's child, not at all. That was impulsive, that was lack of control, and something there went completely loose, a few screws in the brain, to allow this kind of action that the whole world is rejecting and says, well, we are shocked, we will not tolerate that, and for a very good reason. Now, if you go further into this, which I want to go for another 4 minutes, and then we'll allow you to question because we did start exactly on time, and that is, look around you and see that in every space, 3D space, that you're actually sitting or you are a guest in, there are 6 directions, right and left, forward and backwards, up and down. Let's look at it again. So 6, Vav in the Hebrew is the 6th letter. Aleph, Beit, Gimel, Dalet, Hey, Vav, so it's the 6th letter, right? Not like in the English, a V is somewhere towards the end, which means it's the 6th direction. It depicts, it represents, symbolizes the 6 directions of the physical world. Where do we live? We all want to have a home. We want a house. There's a difference between a home and a house. A house is 6 directions, physical space. A home is a space of harmony when we connect and we join forces with other people, significant other, children, parents, etc. So this is an incredible power of the letter Vav to create harmony, to create a safe, loving space with which we can live in. The offside of it is getting too involved and too engaged and over caring about what other people say. And that's a very big lesson we're going to discuss much further on with the letter Samach, which is also 6 in numerology in the Hebrew, which means you should learn to disengage. You should learn that nothing is personal. Everybody is speaking from their own perspective. Unless people arrive at spiritual mastery of life, everyone has got their own perspective. When somebody scolds you, somebody criticizes you, somebody shouts at you, somebody abuses you, somebody shames you, they're only showing their own hump. They're not speaking to you, they speak or about you, they're speaking about themselves. That was the great power of Moses, that the Bible, the Torah says he was the humblest of all men. But yet, there were times that he was angry. Oh boy, he was angry. He was ginger, like King David. They were both ginger. They were both men of war. So, what was the great secret of his humanity? I was speaking about the letter Vav. And the answer is that he invented and he found, innovated an incredible rule of life and principle, which I would like to give over to you now. And that is, when I see a blemish, a stain, a bump, a hump in you, in somebody else, first and foremost, I'm seeing my own hump. Again, when I see a hump in you, when I see a fault in you, what I'm watching is really my own fault also. Otherwise, I wouldn't see it. And I will give you a very hilarious example that I myself experienced. I was overseas at a lecture downstairs in the basement of a large hotel on the beachfront. Came there the first time, found my parking, going down the elevator, and I'm a little bit tall. And as I walk out the elevator, comes towards me a shorter man who was bald, which is fine, which is absolutely fine. And he doesn't know me from a bar of soap. We never met before. And he's bald, and I am not bald. I wasn't, and so much more so I wasn't then, many years back. And so he looks at me, and the light is shining on top of my head. He can't see the top of my head, and he says, "You are bald." That's the first interaction we have as human beings. I will never forget that statement. So I started really laughing out loud. Then I walked out the elevator, and he saw and said, "Oh, I'm so sorry, sir, you're not bald. I'm so sorry I laughed at you. Can we be friends?" He said, "It's a little bit late for that now, don't you think?" "I don't care about the bald," I said. "I love you for who you are. But the fact that you try to find me out for something that you own and to say you have it too. I'm a druggist, you are too. I'm a prisoner, you are too. I'm a transgressor, you are too. Why do you straight away try to find something wrong with me in your perspective? There's nothing wrong with being bold. It's beautiful. It was beautiful. But why do you try to find me out?" That's when Moses held himself back with the power of the letter Vav and said, hold on, hold my impulsiveness, hold my aggression. What am I looking at? I'm looking at my own hump. Relax, be humble. This is not your world, just be a guest. One. And one last but not least, because there's so much more to be done with this letter Vav, but we are in just one letter. And that is, again, if somebody's got, for example, any kind of trouble in the brain, the physical brain, such as a tumor, if somebody's got a problem of joining his left brain with his right brain, such as epilepsy, physical, technical, or the problem of the actual challenge and disease of not being able to understand or remember things from his past, or join his intuition and his creative self with his logical brain, the letter Vav will do the trick, and it will do it. How do we do it? You have to approach a spiritual master that understands the secrets of this and add to him another name after great consideration, deliberation of all the parts that played, the name that his parents were gave him, and where he's going, his last name, etc., and his birthday, and who he is, and what's the name of his significant other, and after all is being considered, add another name, someone with the letter Vav, which has to be a great consideration, like you polish a diamond, that's going to be another part, added part of his soul for the rest of his life, to be able to help him through this terrible challenge that is it. There's so much more, but I think I've said a lot because we started, thanks to Mike, exactly on time, I thank God. So I'd like to hear a little bit your questions, and thank you so much for listening to me in these beautiful classes of Kabbalah that we do share with each other every week on a Thursday night. Yeah. Please go ahead, Mike. Questions?
Okay. Well, thank you very much for that very enlightening lecture once again. Yes, we do have a couple of questions, and we still have a few viewers. So if anybody does have questions, this is the interactive portion. So please leave your questions in the comment section, or if you're in the virtual classroom and you would like to appear on camera, please you can unmute yourselves now. Okay, so we will get to the first set of questions. Um, First set of question is how does this letter fit into the Yod He Vav He Tetragrammaton? You touched on earlier today
Very good.
how the letter Vav can fit into the name John. So, how exactly is this letter? The next question I think goes into this is how is this letter pronounced?
Very good. So in the Tetragrammaton, or the name with the four holy sacred letters in the Hebrew, which according to Kabbalah we don't say it as it is, but we rather call it Havaya, which means we turn the letters around, very much like I don't call my father Charlie or John or whatever his name is, because out of respect he is called my dad, my father. I don't call him in his first name out of incredible respect, because he he was a partner with God to allow me this gift of life, or my mother, for that effect, that matter. The same way God is our creator, so we give incredible respect to this very, very holy name. Thank you, Majesty, for a minute. And when we say this, we don't call it as it is here, right? But we rather say Havaya, which is the same letters turned around a bit, and we know what we're referring to, the name of God. Now, a few things. First of all, the two names of God which are the most important. One is Elohim, which is God. I think Mike knows a lot about that. And that means the judgmental, natural God of nature. Where we see the forces of nature, where we see animals eat each other, and there's nothing wrong with it because that's the power of nature, that's their own instincts. So they don't get punished, they don't get rewards. And that's the power of nature to grow. Everything we see around us in the five senses. However, the first time that this name of God is being mentioned is only when man and his wife Eve are created, because there's a need for mercy, there's need for feeling, there's need for compassion when it comes to human beings, because we do fault, we do fall, we do sin, we do forget, and we hurt each other, and we need forgiveness. So this name is the name of forgiveness. Each of the letters of Havaya, if we come back, Mike, to that name, is a different, it represents a different bunch of Sefirot, of emanations. We don't have time to go through all of them, but in short, the first letter Yud represents the Kether, the crown. The Hey, the first Hey represent, right, or rather the wisdom, the crown and the wisdom is right there. Very good. The Hey represents the world of, or rather the sphere of understanding, and the Vav, right, represents that which is Tiferet and beauty. You can also see over there it presents different kind of worlds, which is absolutely true. That's yeah, that representation, the chart is absolutely correct and true. And the last Hey, again, even though it's the same letter Hey, but it's used differently here, this can't represent the Sefirah of Malchut and the world of Asiya, the physical world. So the letter Vav is that letter which joins all the feelings, which joins past and present. And so that's how it's used there as the linchpin of this entire creation in 3D, 4D, and multi-D, multi-dimensional, to make sure that this creation goes forward and this creation can actually be. And it's very interesting in Kabbalah that our heart, our emotional world, is called a very narrow bridge. How come? Because we got a very, very enlarged brain. Look, eighth of ourselves physically is our brain, this physical capacity. We are known as the human species to control this planet because of our brain. We already arrived at the moon and further than the moon. So our brain can take us anywhere, and our imagination can take us further than the outskirts of the universe. Our legs are nearly half and more of our bodies. Our physical body is also large, but our heart is just this small little pump that without it there is no life, and we measure life either by the trunk of our brain or by our heart. As long as we have a pulse, we have life. So this little heart is called the small little narrow bridge of us, which defines us as human beings, especially men. We shun away many times from dealing with feelings. It's okay, it's okay. No, it's not okay. We have to learn to deal with feelings. We have to learn how to deal with emotions in our lives. And this is the great power of Vav, which allows us to do it. And that's why many men need a woman in their life, right? To be able to learn the yin, not the yang energy, the masculine energy, the logical, right? Just straightforward, like you go into Home Depot, that's aisle number 20, bay number B. Yeah, I've been there recently, as you can hear. But rather, heed the emotions, heed the psychological process, not the fix it, but rather the journey. And that's the beauty of the letter Vav. Thank you. One more question and we call it a night. Just looking at the time before I become pumpkin.
Okay. Well, thank
Go
you
ahead.
very much for that very in-depth answer. I'm pretty sure that that answers the
Of
question,
course.
definitely. Um, okay, so uh, there's actually two more questions, which I think I can combine into one. Um, there is the question, of course, you pointed out a couple of times. Let me just try to find the representation um, of the Tree of Life next to the correct ones. The question is about why there are so many different interpretations of the Tree of Life. And when I say interpretations, I'll combine this into the next question. Interpretations meaning why are there so many visual representations that are different, that have the letters placed in different places, that have the paths seeming to connect in different areas, and also um, is there a physical tree of life that people can actually see that's in Eden, Garden of Eden? So
Yes.
exactly
So
what
this
is
is a
this?
very beautiful, deep question. Yep. Okay, Kieran. Go ahead, Mike.
Yeah. So exactly what
Continue,
is
please.
the tree of life? Is it a actual tree itself? And why are there so many different visual representations of it?
Very good question. Excellent, deep question. So, in short, because we can carry on for a few hours to explain this question, which is very much in depth. In the Garden of Eden, that was a physical place, was an actual tree. That tree represents all that is good. Everything that is good, everything that is godly, everything that God wanted to give us over. Unfortunately, before this tree, there was the tree of good and evil. And unfortunately, Eve and later on man, Adam, decided against God's will to eat from the tree, and therefore they never got to the tree of life, as the Bible clearly says. Well, if you now, after you've eaten after you tasted and eaten from the tree of good and evil, if you will eat from the tree of life, you will actually live forever. And you cannot live forever once you've sinned, because God has decreed that once you eat from the tree, you shall perish. You shall die one day. One day, which he did, and she did as well. And as we see, there's nobody with us from 140, 50 years ago. Nobody is left from a previous generation. We all perish, we all go, but not into oblivion. We go into the next one and become reincarnated if we wish to, if we're lucky, and that's a different lecture that we will speak in depth about. I wrote a whole book about it, about reincarnations, etc. So you can see it in the meantime. It's called It's Not a Dream to Change Your Past. It speaks about dream interpretation, speaks about life experiences, regressions, etc. So moving forward with it, yes, it was a physical tree, but currently today, where is the tree of life? Where the tree of life, to cut the long story short, is the Bible, because God has left clues along the way. And we do know that all the commandments, all these holy names, especially in the original Hebrew, once these sacred messages of God are there, this is the will of God. It is not just an instruction book, a manual that you read, this is how you drive your new Tesla car. No, this is a living tree of life that is embedded, that is hidden within the Torah, within the Bible. If we want to see this, look in the mirror. You are, as a human being, man or woman, an exact depiction in 3D of the exact replica of the tree of life in miniature. Makes no difference what creed, what gender, what color, what height, what weight you are. You are a walking tree of life. You are a sacred temple of God. And this is the mission that you have, to become a more sanctified tree of life as a unit. And that's why we are not allowed to shame you, or to bring you down, or to abuse you, or to do anything wrong to you, because you are, as a human being, whether you're a child or an adult, an elderly person, or of any age or any culture or tradition, you are a walking tree of life, and God has planted inside you, gave you the gift of life to be that. So when you're looking for it, looking around, look within you. And that's why it's exactly the shape of human on which Kabbalistic healing is being based, and therefore it can heal. Now, the deeper question is, which is the right tree of life? Well, all we need to do is look at ourselves and decide. And therefore, the left side, stay there, Mike, for a second. The left, beyond before, yes. The left tree of life, as we see it, the left one, the one is the yellow and the little bit of orange or red, whatever colors it is. This is the right form of tree of life because it actually, this one on the left, stay there a minute. Yes, because this is exactly, that one on the left, exactly depicts the tree of life. But if we look at other forms, the one on the right, or the one, Mike, that you showed before, there is no connection between, for example, my spleen and my liver and my legs. Is there? So there is no internal connection, right, in that way. So there is no internal connection in my physical body or in my emotional body between my right hemisphere, my left hemisphere, and my heart. Is there such a ligament connecting internally and limiting me or moving me and shuffling me between my right and left hemisphere and my heart? No, there really isn't. So that right one is incorrect by virtue of going and studying the human physical body. The same applies to letters. Kabbalah, by definition, means that it's a tradition received from on high. It's not human knowledge that we can decide. So there have been many books of many people that tried to reshuffle and reorganize it according to their limited understanding, and therefore are misled and are misleading millions of people around the globe, because this is the latest that people learn around the world. Kabbalah. No, every tradition, every culture, every religion, everyone wants to learn Kabbalah. But there is one, and only one, original way in which the letters are organized. It's very much like DNA. If I reshuffle your DNA, I will make something else out of you. We can't do that. We can't bioengineer. We can't genetically reinvent who you are. The same with the tree of life. I can't invent what I think. I have to go with the tradition, and therefore I delved for many years into the book of creation, given over by Abraham, the forefather, one of the greatest Kabbalists that walked this earth some close to 400 years, 4,000 years back. And before this, the Raziel, the book of Raziel, which was given to the first man divinely. And there's a very consistent way that the tree of life to look. And that's this tree of life that Mike is showing us right now on the left, or rather right, and on the left. And the arrangement of the letters, but the internal connections, that is to be discussed, that is to be shown to you. That also depends on the physical manifestation of what is a human being, and the internal, deepest spiritual, mental, emotional, and physical connection within us. So we have a rule, and we're going to finish tonight. If I doubt, or if I question, or if I really want to seek, SEEK, and find out what's happening in the higher realms, in the higher worlds, all I have to know is look within me. And that's what Job said in his book. From within my flesh do I recognize, see, and grasp divine, the godliness. And that's what we do. We don't have to go to the upper worlds. All I have to do is look into my body and realize this. And Leonardo da Vinci, they, in the beautiful image that Mike is showing us now at the very bottom, in this beautiful circle, has understood this, have learned it, that it has to be exactly according to the human body, which is exact replica, miniature of all the higher worlds. And the mission and the purpose is to create out of you, with your incredible, unique self, a walking, living temple of God that is all the time evolving, developing, and growing to be a shining star in God's world, as you can, as I can, as any one of us can, in our own unique way. I can never do what you can. I can never think what you do. I can never have your governing place in your life, the people that you can influence, the way that you think, the way that you see the world. Therefore, you're unique. You're a gift. So use this gift, even if your time is limited. Dedicate an hour or two a day, at the end of the day, to make yourself rise and shine. Thank you so much to all. I have to really exit this room before I become a pumpkin. And we will see each other, please God, next Thursday. And Monday, in 10 days, we're going to see each other also again in the special.
Okay, thank you very much, Dr. Gil Tivon. I am just going to share very quickly Dr. Tivon's contact information in case anybody would like to have a one-on-one session or speak to him, or if you have any questions for him. I will just share this very quickly. So here is his contact information. His email address is giltivon@gmail.com. Please feel free to contact him or myself. You could find my contact information at Metaphysical Sciences TV YouTube channel or the Mental Health, Spirituality, Mysticism, and Metaphysics Facebook group, where you can find me just on Facebook, Mike Ray. And again, as Dr. Gil Tivon mentioned, we would like to invite you all to our Monday podclasses, which are about healing and applying this knowledge, mystical knowledge, not just limited to Kabbalah, to our lives, to use it to heal from trauma, to use it to expand our consciousness and to grow and to evolve on a physical, emotional, spiritual, and psychological level. So there is a lot that we go over. A lot that I think you guys would be very interested in. So just thank you very much, everybody, for joining us tonight. This was yet another class. Thank you for another great class. Thank you for all the amazing questions. Again, I just need to just bring up Dr. Tivon's contact information because I cannot express enough just how much wisdom this man has. And of course, this is all brought to you through Metaphysical Sciences TV. So please, if you can, or if you aren't already watching this, the replay on YouTube, please subscribe to the channel and hit the like button and hit the bell for notifications on when new podclasses and videos will be posted. Any questions we did not get to answer today, we will be answering in Wednesday videos, which we will be posted on a weekly basis, just answering any questions we did not get to. And of course, this is just Metaphysical Sciences TV. We have now an entire catalog of videos from our podclasses, as well as including the Monday classes. We also have the Inner Secrets Revealed, Kabbalah class with Dr. Gil, and also my podclasses, the Mental Health, Spirituality, and Metaphysics Talk with Mike Ray. So we have plenty of episodes of all of them. We will start with the question and answer videos next Wednesday. So please, guys, join us again next week, same time, same place, even more to learn and discover. This has been Inner Secrets Revealed Kabbalah class with Dr. Gil Tivon. As always, I'm your host of Metaphysical Sciences TV, Mike Ray. Thank you all very much. Thank you for joining us.